to a relationship, does how do you weigh like the religious aspect of it? Like, what if they got different, like, what if it's different religion? You're Christian, that person Muslim, or that person, like, like, does it come a point like, oh, I can't do this because we don't got the same faith, or how would that work?
So for me, I wouldn't be able to date outside of my religion only because I can't be separated from my faith. You know what I mean? Like, no matter, even if I try, I can't. It's just in me. It's just how I view things. It's my beliefs. And I think, the Bible says it, and the Quran says it too in a different way. I'm going to paraphrase it, but it says something like, how can two walk together except they agree? You know what I mean? If we believe two different things, we can't walk the same path. It's impossible, because you're looking in this direction, and that's the area that you're headed in, and I'm looking this direction. So how do we walk together if we're going two different, you know what I mean? And that's not a bad thing. But when we're talking about romantic relationships and building a family, I think these are the conversations that are very important to have, because no matter how much I like you and I like being around you, when we start talking about the nitty gritty of life and what it means to go into covenant, to spend someone's life together, to then build and expand life and to have children, that's a hard conversation to have. I mean, people do it. Me personally, it would be difficult for me.
I had a friend that converted to Mormon for his wife.
See,
I never got into like a conversation with him about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what made him want to do it, convert into being a Mormon.
Yeah.
How would that work for you if?
I don't know. I never had someone approach me that was a different religion. Growing up, I was heavy in the church, and I was Christian. Well, I am Christian. I practiced it more. Like I walked more of it when I was growing up, because I was forced to go to church, and not only that, even when I was a teenager or an adult, an early adult in my 20s, I still walked the faith. I still went to church on my own, and I was into church heavy, praise dance and stuff, but I just never, as I grew older, I don't know, like, I never had that approach with someone that's different from me. Mm-hmm. So it's like.
And I'll share, and we just talked about it last night, me and my wife, and it's something that we always had the issue with. So my wife's first language is Spanish. She's from Dominican Republic. Mm-hmm. She speaks English, but I speak very little Spanish. Mm-hmm. So it comes down to, she want to go to church. We want to go to church together, but she wants to go to where they speak just Spanish. Mm-hmm. If I go with her, I don't know what they're saying. Like,
right.
He, offered my son to God at a Spanish church. I ain't have a clue what they're saying. I'm just in there like, all right, like, staying here. They had a translator too, but it's like they ain't gonna have a translator for me every time I go to.
Right.
And then she come to a church I'm interested in. It don't hit her the same, like. So we can't get the word together because it's on two different languages and stuff. And so that's a situation we got to try to work out. Like, how can we able to go as a family, mm-hmm. and then still be able to feel it? Because like I said, because of her language, we watch Netflix, she got to have subtitles because sometimes they talk too fast in English for mm-hmm. her and stuff. And like I said, she talked good English. It's just first language is Spanish, and that's what she came to this country speaking and stuff. So that's one issue. Like I said, we just talked about it last night.
Yeah, I gotta move to the Bronx.
Yeah.
Come down to the Bronx and hit one of them churches that have, the Spanish service first and the English service.
Or they start talking Spanish, and halfway through they sent back to English.
Right.
Yeah, like my husband, when I met him, he of course he told me he was Christian, but my part with him was trying to I guess attend church, because he's one of those that's like, the pastor be the worst ones. Like,
yeah, I get a lot of from my peers too.
But they doing this and they doing that, and this and that. And I'm like, okay, but that's not every pastor, you know?
Right. Right.
We have to get the word some way. And I feel like now that COVID, like before COVID, you know, I tried to get him, well, we started going to church. We found us a new church home. Well, not really a new church home, but we did visit a church that I liked a little. And I was taking him, you know, telling him, okay, we need to get back into it. This is what I'm used to. This is what I come from. And my thing with him is we'll be driving in the car and it's on Sunday. I love listening to gospel no matter what day it is. I just love gospel. And he like, cut that off. I don't like to hear the gospel. I'm like, why? Like, he's like, don't get me wrong, I believe in God and I love God and all this, but it's just some songs I just don't like. I only like certain gospel songs. So I'm like,
yeah, I hear that too. Like anything that sounds too R&B, it's like, nah, if I'm gonna listen to gospel, I'm gonna listen to gospel. I want some, you know, some Shirley Caesars, Take Me to the King, something, you know.
like,
but
to be in school.
I find that too with a lot of people today. Like, it's like, why do I have to go to church? Again, back to that, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, because they feel closer to God without going through a third party or through the church or a pastor, because they feel like, and I understand, trust me, like I said, growing up in church, I'm not just saying this because he's my dad. He's one of the very few pastors that I know that his name is clean. Unfortunately, I mean, every time you turn on the news, some other mega pastors, especially Black men pastors, are in some type of scandal. So you can't, my heart goes out to those people, because what you're really telling me by saying I don't, you know, have these pastors out there is that you're really, to me, what I hear is, you know, you're disappointed, because how are you supposed to learn if the teacher is failing? You know what I'm saying? And I have compassion towards that, because I get it. It's hard to learn to sit under someone's doctrine when they're saying one thing and doing another. How do I know that this is attainable if the one who's telling me can't do it? So it kind of, it's discouraging, you know? So I completely understand. But I think the basis of all of that is, you know, we're all human. That's not to excuse anybody's behavior or shortcomings. But one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible comes from Apostle Paul, where he says, you know, in this flesh dwelleth no good thing. The good that I want to do, I don't do. And the very thing I say I'm not going to do is the thing I keep doing over and over again. But then he says, oh, wretched man that I am, who can save me from this flesh? It's nobody but Jesus. So there's the faith right there, right? It's like, before I depend on someone else to tell me what to do, Apostle Paul, who wrote 2/3 of the new chapter in the very gospel of Jesus Christ, you know, that we live in, the New Testament covenant that we're under, he himself said, the good that I want to do, I don't do it. And the thing I say I swore I wasn't going to do is what I end up doing. I understand, though, that everything I need is caught up in Jesus. Like, he's the only one who's going to save me. So before we start depending on man to teach us, we also have to understand that put pastor, elder, deacon, everybody aside, I'm supposed to be following Christ. You know what I'm saying? He is my example, because he's the one who didn't fall short. He's the one who said that if I fall, he can forgive me. Not the pastor who said, oh, well, you got caught messing around on your wife, so you can't come here, or you can't be involved in that. Jesus didn't do that to anybody in scripture. You know, so I think it's, you know, a matter of turning the tables a little bit and changing the perspective from understanding who man just flesh is versus actually understanding the heart of Christ. And once we get past that, we'll look at people with a different lens. We don't give people the same power and authority over our lives, and we'll understand that not that certain behaviors are inexcusable, but if he can forgive me for the things that I've done and I'm still here and he's still working with me, listen, I'm praying for that pastor that can't stay in his wife's bed, him and his wife's bed. But at the same time, you are not my, you know, you can't, how can you help me when you're hurting? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, and to me, I'm scared of anybody who preach Sunday after Sunday very arrogantly and then turn around and live like hell, because woe unto them. You know, I don't want that attached to my name, so I stay clear of it. But, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, it's like, I understand that we're all human. Nobody's perfect. No matter how bad you try to be perfect, you know, no matter how much you try to walk uprightly. It's just that this flesh is supposed to keep us at the cross. You know what I mean? Forget the church, at the cross. like at the feet of Jesus, you know what I'm saying? But again, you don't know that without religion. That's the spiritual side that people claim that they're a part of, but they don't know. A lot of people don't know. They don't know what they say. It just sounds good. But it could be good for you if you understood the religious side before you kind of, threw that aside first. You know what I mean?